When I watch you, it doesn't sound like other fighters. When you hit guys, it sounds like you're hitting a bag, there's a thud. When you sink it in there, do you know?
Yeah, I know. Your body don't lie. You know, it's just certain little things, like they might breathe a little bit different, they might, you know, inhale heavily, or, you know, the body might dip down. You hit somebody body shot and they kind of drop a little bit, or their posture changes, or their hands are no longer, you know, up, it's down by where their body is. It takes a lot out of it. It takes your legs, your wind, everything. So it's hard to recover.
Takes your heart.
Take your heart to it. It's hard to recover from a body shot.
Do you remember the moment where you first really, really hit a guy? Where you understood, oh wow, I can hit?
It was the silver gloves. I hit a guy and knocked him out. And he was saying that he couldn't move his legs. And I was like, man, you know, I can crack.
You start to really smile with that recollection of the silver gloves. Like, you know, you don't talk loud, you don't boast, you don't, but I can see you come alive when you talk about knocking that guy out. What'd you hit him with?
Hit him with straight left. I mean, who doesn't love knockouts? That's the, you know, the ultimate way to win in boxing, is knockout.
Did he tell you he couldn't move his legs?
No, he was yelling it out to the, he was yelling it out to the.
Look at you trying not to laugh. He's trying not to laugh.
He was yelling it out to the referee in the dock, so I kind of heard him from across the ring.
And then you knew you were big and bad, huh?
Not big and bad, but I knew I accomplished something.
That feeling you get, though, when you hit someone well, when you knock them down, when you knock them out, it's addictive, is it not?
Definitely, you know, it's definitely addictive. Even when I was first turned professional, I was disappointed in my first fight that went the distance, and I think a lot of reason was I was rushing it.
You've been the most talked about talent in boxing for a good while. Why is that?
I think it's just the way I fight.
Knocking people out.
Knocking people out, and I'm in the ring, I'm passive aggressive. You know,
That's one way to put it.
I'm a boxer punching. You know, I don't come at people reckless. You know, I take my time, I break my opponent down, and you know, I am the sweet science. That's what I do in there. I use angles, I box, I find people weaknesses and expose it.
New leak video, Errol Spence training and doing conditioning, preparing for his comeback after 3-year layoff against former WBO junior middleweight champion, Australian superstar Tszyu. Errol Spence looks revamped. Errol Spence looks fresh. Errol Spence looks healthy. Errol Spence looks hungry. Errol Spence says, how is a shrimp gonna tell a shark his limitations? Errol Spence is going to stop Tszyu between 9 and 11 rounds. What y'all think? Let me know.
Errol Spence is finally getting ready to make his return to boxing after being away from the sport for 3 years. That is a very long time in boxing, where fighters can quickly be forgotten. However, Spence is different. For more than a decade, he entertained fans and proved himself as one of the best welterweights in the world. The last few years have been difficult for him. Injuries and problems outside the ring slowed down his career and stopped him from reaching even greater heights. Many people believed he could become one of the greatest fighters of his generation alongside Terence Crawford. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. Despite everything, the fans never stopped supporting him. Now, 3 years after his loss to Crawford, Spence is back in the gym preparing for a huge fight against Tszyu in Australia this July. It is great to see him training again. The former unified welterweight champion is working with veteran trainer Ronnie Shields. Recently, Shields spoke about what Spence must do to become a world champion again. According to Shields, Spence was one of the most avoided fighters in boxing before the Crawford fight. He believes Spence still has elite skills and only needs to shake off the ring rust. Shields is confident that Spence can make a strong comeback and compete for titles in a new weight division.
Here with trainer extraordinaire Ronnie Shields. Ronnie, we're here to talk about the Spence-Tszyu fight. It's going to be a big fight. Spence coming back. Tszyu's trying to make his comeback after those defeats from Fundora and everything. What do either have to do to come out victorious and not just become crossroad challengers from this point on?
I mean, I don't know what Tszyu has to do, and I don't care what Tszyu has to do, because I'm with Spence. So.
I know.
But I think for Errol, Errol just had to be Errol. You got to get back to what got him to where he's supposed to be. Errol. He has one defeat, and that's against Terence Crawford. But before then, people were avoiding him like the plague, because, he's just that good. So I think he just got to get himself back into shape and get himself positioned to where he can do things that he did before.
What have you seen from Errol on his way to this fight and coming back against Tszyu?
Well, just being in the gym with him, we was in the gym for like 3-4 days together, and everything's looking good. He's feeling good, and he's trying to just recapture.
Some boxing fans have criticized Spence for jumping straight into a tough fight against Tszyu after such a long break. Trainer Robert Garcia suggested that Spence should first take a tune-up fight to get comfortable in the ring again. Ronnie Shields disagrees with that idea. He believes there is no such thing as an easy fight in boxing. In his opinion, every fight is dangerous and every opponent deserves respect. Shields pointed to Tszyu's recent fight with Dennis Nurja, where Tszyu suffered visible damage and injuries. For Shields, this proves that no fight is easy. He prefers taking on the challenge directly instead of worrying about how difficult it may be. He also dismissed concerns about Spence traveling to Australia for the fight. Even though Spence is considered the bigger star, Shields says neither Spence nor his team are worried about the location. Their full focus is on preparing for victory.
Now, I've interviewed Robert Garcia, and I always ask his opinions on things and everything, and he said this is directly his opinion. I'm going to say it a little bit verbatim, but also at the same time paraphrasing. He says he feels that the reason why Spence went direct to a big fight against Tszyu and not took a tuna fight was because he feels that maybe Spence doesn't have that much left in him. What do you think about that?
Well, what is a tune-up anyway? What is that? I've been hearing, you've been hearing this since I've been hearing that since I've been in boxing. Tune-ups. There's no such thing as a tune-up fight.
Fight is a fight.
A fight is a fight. I mean, okay, if you say Tszyu took a tune-up his last fight, right?
Yeah.
Look what happened to him. He got headbutted and he got cut under the eye. So, he's lucky it didn't get worse to where it prolonged his career. So he couldn't even take this fight, But, it wasn't that bad. So that's why he's able to take this fight. So it's no such thing as a tune-up fight.
How do you feel about Spence having to travel to Australia for this fight? Considering, his name is the marquee, his name is first. We know how boxing works and everything, but he has to travel to Australia for this fight.
Well, he agreed to do it. So, hey, so it is what it is. It's got to be a reason why he agreed to do it. I haven't spoken to him about it. So he, You know, he don't mind going to Australia. So,
Spence is clearly excited about his comeback and has been actively promoting the fight. While some American fans may not be paying much attention because the event is taking place in Australia, Spence is determined to make this return unforgettable. Recently, he exchanged words with Tszyu and boldly stated that he is coming to take over Tsyu's stadium and his country. His confidence and energy show just how motivated he is. After 3 years away from the ring, Errol Spence has something to prove. He wants to remind the boxing world who he is and show everyone that he still has what it takes to compete at the highest level.